welcome to this week of the movies. I'm Matt.
And I'm Eric.
And this week, we are throwing a Hail Mary all the way to Ryan Gosling, Phil Lord, and Chris Miller. That's right. The most anticipated movie so far of 2026, Project Hail Mary. They started the hype machine for this one last spring at CinemaCon. Rumblings of it even before that, but that's when the first footage has been out. That was back in April of 2025. This one coming out just in time for people that are on spring break, going on spring break. I know they're hoping to get some big crowds at the theater, and I think they might for this one, based on the novel by Andy Weir. It was adapted by Drew Goddard. That is the same source material writer and screenwriter that did The Martian. This one from Lord and Miller, their first film. They said that they've directed in 10 years. They've been doing a lot of great work in the animated space. They were the creators of the Lego movie, the creative force behind Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, a couple of animated films I really enjoy. They produced movies like Cocaine Bear, which was a lot of fun, but probably the biggest live action film they have directed. They did 21 and 22 Jump Street. 22 Jump Street, obviously, all the way back in 2014. Their last actual directing credit was on the TV series The Last Man on Earth, which dropped in 2015. So a lot going on. This was a very highly anticipated movie. How did it sit for you?
I absolutely adored it. Everything about this movie. I don't have very many insightful criticisms. My only nitpicks are some of the stuff when it is so science fiction-y. Then when you stretch the bounds of that science fiction into fantasy, some of it is like, my brain checks out a little bit. But it was so easy to get swept back into it because of the incredibly inventive direction and the absolute charisma bomb that is Ryan Gosling, absolutely owning and wiping the floor with this movie up and down, and just like it's unbelievable. The collaboration to make the character Rocky work was spectacular. I love that relationship. I love how not very grounded. Like the ending is such a roller coaster, and for a minute I thought we were going to get another very like nihilistic, weirdly happy, putting like a happy glaze on it, like The Running Man, and but it being a very kind of nihilistic ending about how we only live through the sacrifice of others and stuff like that. But that's not to say where the movie ends, because that is I was so pleasantly surprised and I needed it. And I haven't felt the intensity for a space sequence that I felt of them gathering
the fishing sequence
since the docking at Interstellar. It's impossible for me not to compare the two. It's just like beautiful movie, so well directed, so well performed. This 2 hours and 30 minutes, and it felt like that. Like it was. And it's particularly like an awesome performance from Sandra Hüller. Again, apart from like the tiny little nitpicks where I'm like, all right, how are you guys coming up with the language to communicate and all this kind of stuff, and like how is this happening? I know it's happening over a long period of time and we're like experiencing a long passage of time, but it's just like sometimes things push boundaries. But I don't know. I ultimately don't care. This movie wins over so hard everything that it doesn't necessarily do right that I just like full 2 thumbs up for me.
It's been interesting. We haven't done every episode together this year, but when we've come together, it's been a little fascinating. It feels like in years past we were always on the same page, and coming together this year, we've had wildly disparate reactions. But we both like this movie. I give it a thumbs up. I have this as my best film of the year so far.
Awesome.
I liked what they did. It's nice when you have like the big, highly anticipated movie that also delivers, and kind of gives you what you're looking for here. I'm with you. I really enjoyed Ryan Gosling, and he has to carry a lot of this. So if you're not familiar with the plot, basically he plays a scientist named Ryland Grace. He wakes up on a ship in deep space, coming out of, a cryostasis.
11 plus year.
Yeah, but he can't remember anything. Um, can't remember how he got there, why he's there. No one else is alive on the ship, and so he has to piece it together. And from what I understand from the novel, it's him as he's going through things, hitting like memories, and that
Hmm.
sends him to flashbacks. I thought they conveyed that pretty well in the film. I heard other people saying, "Oh, well, I didn't get that at all." I did. I thought that was conveyed pretty well. But then in flashbacks, you learn more about his story. He was kind of a scientist that had some pretty advanced theories that got ridiculed a little bit. So he had retreated to teaching middle school science, and he gets recruited after this discovery of something that's eating the sun,
Yeah.
threatening all life forms. He gets recruited to be part of this project. As you mentioned, Sandra Hüller. Gotta love Netflix and their marketing team. I noticed this movie just came out, really popular. They just started streaming Anatomy of a Fall, and I noticed they did their wallpaper of "Pick this movie up," so they don't miss any beats. James Ortiz ends up being the voice actor behind, as part of this mission. Dr. Grace encounters a ship from another planet and another solo scientist, a creature named Rocky, who ends up being voiced by James Ortiz. And it's kind of, at times a buddy movie. I thought there was some great humor, but there was some deeply emotional moments too. There is a sequence when they're back on Earth in one of the flashbacks where they're doing karaoke, that I found deeply moving. Some of the sequences between Grace and Rocky, even though you're kind of seeing this like puppet rock looking thing, they really managed to build a character that you're invested in, this whole journey. Like you said, the graphics, the way they make everything look, their depictions of deep space and some of the things they encounter on these deep space missions are moving. And I think Gosling is a great choice here because he can play, um, kind of action moments. He can play
Yeah.
the dramatic moments, but he's actually a very kind of gifted comedian too.
Oh
And
my
there are a
gosh.
lot of fun and funny moments here. And I think that's what Lord Miller maybe brought to this, because it's not an outright comedy like some of the things they've done, like 21 Jump Street, but
Yeah.
it definitely has that kind of sense of humor and pathos. Something similar, I think, to what I loved about the tone of Into the Spider-Verse.
Hmm.
I thought they did really well with this. I'm gonna be curious to see how it does. It's probably the first movie of the year too that's gotten pretty much universal praise. You mentioned the running time, and you didn't feel it. I didn't feel it either. I've heard some people quibble that it was too long or felt like it had too many endings. I didn't really see that at all. It is a longish movie, but it feels like it's moving all the time, and I felt like there are places where it could have cut off, I guess, but where we end up is
I
is
yeah.
really fun,
Yeah.
and it's really interesting, and it's true to this friendship. And when you're adapting a book, you kind of should be following what's happening in the book, unless you're Emerald Fennell.
Yeah.
But any other? You said you had some minor quibbles. What are some things that jumped out?
Uh Rocky puts a throwaway note that giving Grace his uh portion to try and help him, I won't be more specific as to why, would extend Rocky's trip home by 6 years. And so Ryan Gosling in the past has already aged almost 12 years to the present, and therefore at a certain point in the movie, I don't want to say when, he should have aged a minimum of 17 to 18 years from where we see him in the beginning, and
When
he
you
still just looks exactly the
when you
same.
go into cryostasis, which is what they're don't you remain
Well, it was
preserved? Because that's been like a hallmark of science fiction movies, though.
yeah, but it was a medically induced coma.
Hmm.
And I don't even know if they had the same technology on Rocky ship, but that's the thing. That's the thing about
I
the movie.
mean, maybe Ryland Grace spent a lot of time with Paul Rudd because in actual life, if you look at Clueless, which is
Well,
now 31 years old, Paul Rudd looks almost exactly the same.
dude,
So some people are just blessed.
yeah, you don't even have to. Ryan Gosling himself, if you go back 20 years, and look at like the movie Stay, like he looks a little younger, but
Yeah.
10 years ago was The Nice Guys, and he does not look a day older than he doesn't look any older than he did in Drive. That was 2011. That's 15 years ago. Like I can totally give it a pass, but they bothered to put the aging makeup on someone who for whom time 20 years passed on Earth. And
Well,
they
yeah,
just didn't
that's true.
bother to do any aging makeup on him. But again, I
Or
don't
Sandra Hüller.
care.
She
Yeah.
doesn't have the good genes.
No, she didn't. Yeah.
Although, it could have been too. Sometimes you get more weathered if your environment is breaking down, and they certainly
Oh,
depicted Earth as
Earth
looking
versus
like it was in a lot worse shape than
yeah,
what
yeah.
they kind of made it sound like before. So,
Yeah, maybe.
uh, I mean, I thought it
It's
was
just
fun.
little
I hope
stuff.
people go out to see it. It's interesting, because we have this big one here. Looking ahead on the calendar, I know kids are going to be whooping it up for Super Mario Galaxy movie next month, but there aren't a lot of big things probably until the somewhat
There's
controversial Michael Jackson biopic, which is the
which I
tail end
which
of
I am gonna be
April.
skipping out on.
Um, I'm curious
I
to see it,
honestly
but
I
it's
think
there aren't as big like last year. April was like the big banger month. We got
it did. It's
Warfare in
yeah,
April. We got Sinners in April. I know I'm forgetting something else, but it was like
yeah.
banger, banger, banger after what had been a kind of really rough stretch. And I thought the start of this year was better, but we might be coming more into our cold stretch because even the first couple of weeks of like the traditional, like the first summer blockbuster is The Devil Wears Prada 2, which I think will be a fun movie, but isn't like what you think of. Typically that first weekend in May, we've always kicked off with like a big superhero movie, and it's not really till you get to June that you start picking up, like
Yeah.
Supergirls in June, Disclosure Days in June. And then in July, obviously, we have the Odyssey, we have Spider Man, we have, so it's not until a little bit later in summer. So we've kind of, this one could end up dominating or being a tentpole for a while because next weekend is just a couple of smaller like indie horror releases. The first weekend in April, Super Mario will be big with the youngins.
Yeah.
It'll be it's kind of in that. Oh, that's the movie I forgot last year. Minecraft was what started April last year. So Super Mario Brothers kind of going into that Minecraft slot. I'm interested in the drama with Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, but I don't know that that's going to be a big blockbuster
Yeah.
hit. And then you really kind of have a little bit of a fall off in mid-April. That trailer for Lee
Well,
Cronin's The Mummy did not make me
yeah.
excited for
I
some.
was a huge fan of Evil Dead Rise, so I'm willing to give it a shot.
I
But
give it a shot, but I don't know, man. And at the same
so
time, when they've announced that they're making a Mummy 4 with Rachel
with
Weisz
Brendan
and
Fraser,
Brendan Fraser,
now
I'm
you're just
like,
looking at your watch like,
this is not the Mummy I'm looking for,
no.
guys. We tried to go darker with Tom Cruise, and
Yeah, they're re-releasing The Mummy Returns in theaters on March 27th.
yeah, and that's going to be even worse, I think, for Lee Cronin's The Mummy because
Yeah,
tonally they could not be different. It could
no.
not be more different what you're going for.
But in May, depending on who you are and what you're interested in, you have what should be hits like The Devil Wears Prada 2, Mortal Kombat 2,
I have a bad
Star
feeling
Wars,
about
The
Mortal
Mandalorian,
Kombat.
and Grogu.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Mandalorian and Grogu is where it picks up. I knew there was a big movie at the end of May but that's
And
probably the
then,
next
yeah,
biggest kind of blockbuster. And then in June, Masters of the Universe. I have to be honest, that trailer looks
didn't
horrendous.
it did. It really did. I was like, they're
Really
going for a Dungeons
so,
and Dragons, Guardians of
so
the
bad.
Galaxy kind of take, and
You know
I
what
don't know.
we need to do in a couple weeks here, even though there are movies that you are super pumped about, is we need to do a summer movie preview episode and talk about ones we're excited for and ones we're not, because it is like the highest of highs and potentially the lowest of lows this summer. I mean, we have Christopher
Yeah,
Nolan
the stakes are
doing
high.
Homer, we have Steven Spielberg doing an Alien movie, we have Tom Holland back as Spider-Man, and we also have whatever is in Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, and we have Supergirl reintroducing Jason Momoa as Lobo. But Jason Momoa is having a comeback year with Dune and Supergirl, and I'm kind of excited because he kind of drifted
Not
out
even
of
the
the
same character.
spotlight.
I thought his character in Dune died. I don't understand.
You've read the books,
No,
no?
I haven't. I
Oh,
have the book. I just haven't.
I have
I
not
this I guess
read the
will be my
books.
Dune year. I have to read the Odyssey first, and I realized that I haven't started that yet. And I went and looked at it, and I was like, "That's 800 pages. That probably won't be a speed read." So,
Yeah,
but yeah, we'll dive more into it. We'll see. There's always
we'll see what
some
happens.
surprises that pop up. You're right about the movie Michael, though. That one feels incredibly polarizing. There's a group of people that are super excited, and there are a group of people that are like, I will never see that movie. I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I'm fascinated by the marketing campaign, and I like some of the music. So I was like, and I thought they found an actor who I think is actually a relative that you know had the right look and sound, but the delays and the supporter supposedly reports about
Yeah, I mean,
the script kind of, and musical biopics can be great or they can be
we've had a string of
dreadful.
really good ones. Um,
Mm,
Stretching kind of from Elvis to A Complete Unknown, and then people didn't like that
I didn't care for
one.
Elvis. I would
You didn't care for Elvis?
neither of the Elvis biopics worked for me.
Oh yeah, you didn't like Priscilla either. I'm
I
still
I
Priscilla is
really
an
did not
enigma
like
for me.
Priscilla. Um,
Yeah,
Complete Unknown I thought
there's
was
so much I
okay.
don't like about it, but at the same
The
time.
Bruce Springsteen one last year I thought was okay.
Yeah, a
Um,
lot of people didn't like that one, but yeah.
a lot of critics didn't seem to like it. I don't know if it colored it a little bit for me. So like Nebraska is one of my mom's favorite albums for Bruce Springsteen. She was really excited about that movie, so I took her and we went and watched it together, and we had fun. And I don't know if that like I didn't give it the greatest score on earth,
Mhm.
but I thought Jeremy Allen White was good, and I thought the way they wove the music in was interesting. I thought it was an interesting slice of life. There are things afterward like that the some of the people in there weren't actual people but more composites of ideas
Yeah.
that, but while I was watching it I didn't mind it that much. But I feel like musical biopics too hit people in such different ways,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
that'll be kind of fascinating. I just don't, I think it's interesting that like the first summer blockbuster is Devil Wears Prada 2. I'm going to see it. My wife couldn't be more excited, so we're definitely going. It's just usually you've like kicked off with like some big tentpole action movies, and that's not exactly what I think of as a tentpole action movie. And I know you mentioned Mortal
Who
Kombat
knows?
2, but
Maybe
that
it gets
movie's been
wild.
delayed a couple of times,
Yeah.
and the trailer for that is in the Masters of the Universe range for me.
Yeah.
And then I can't even remember the big release the third weekend. I forgot about Mandalorian Grogu. I am excited for that one, but that definitely has a polarizing feel for some. I'm actually excited for the Memorial Day weekend, which I think is the weekend after that. I think the last weekend in May, which is the Nate Bargatze Breadwinner movie. I That was supposed to have come out in March, and they pushed it back to May. I thought the trailer for that, where he's like this dad, Mandy Moore, is his wife trying to sell her invention. I think it looks hysterical. So
Yeah. I love Nate
I'm
Bargatze.
down
I
for the.
love his
I
stand-up.
I think they're going to be some solid movies. It's just not. We've had years where May is like banger after banger,
I'm
and this year
sure there
they've
are
kind of
movies
delayed
that could
things a
be
little bit
favorites.
into June.
Yeah.
There aren't
I
like the
mean,
big blockbuster pieces though. The
no.
150
Yeah.
million on opening weekend. We'll see. Unless The Devil Wears Prada Hive is stronger than I realize.
Yeah. Yep.
Um,
So, yeah, give me a card.
Yep. So I'm going to give you a card and give you a minute to think about it. I'll talk about a couple other movies that are in limited release. This one, I thought, ironically, a great tie-in with Project Hail Mary. A guy with a food allergy tries to play matchmaker. While you think about that one, a couple other movies that are making their way into theaters that I've seen that I reviewed. New movie Toe, based on a true story, features Rose Byrne as a woman who is trying to get herself together, rebuild her life. She's living out of her car. And that car gets towed, and it's kind of about the fight that she undertakes to get that car back. It got illegally towed and held for fees after it was stolen. And I thought she was really good. It's a wildly diverse cast. Octavia Spencer is in that. Dominic Sessa is in the movie. Elsie Fisher is in the movie. Simon Rex is in the movie. It was a big cast. I give that one a mild thumbs up. I had fun with that. I thought that was an interesting true story. But probably the better of the two limited releases is this documentary called Andre is an Idiot. This one debuted back in 2025 in the film festival circuit. It went limited release early March, supposed to be expanding this weekend. It follows a guy named Andre Ricciardi, who basically the premise and why he decided to do this is he was a guy that blew off the idea that he needed to get a regular colonoscopy when he turned 45. And by the time he actually got one, discovered that he had stage 4 colon cancer that was basically going to kill him. And his basic premise is he was an idiot. If he would have done preventative care like he was supposed to, they would have caught it early, and it's a very survivable. And so he wanted to share his story to inspire people, but it really ends up, he's a very funny, gregarious guy. You follow him over the course of a couple of years as he kind of declines through this illness. He was in advertising and marketing. He's a great pitch man. He's a really funny guy, and you see that he does not lose that humor throughout this whole process. It was deeply moving to me. I wish that I had seen somebody put it up in competition last year. I had heard, I had listened to The Big Picture. I had heard Sean Fennessy talk about it as a documentary that he loved, that he had seen at film festival and couldn't understand why it wasn't resonating more in like the Oscars competition. And after having seen it, I have no idea either. I thought it was great. So if you get a chance, if it comes somewhere near you, I think that is worth checking out. So big thumbs up on that one for me. Do you need your hint, or do you have your...
It's Hitch, baby.
It is Hitch. And do you know why I thought it was a good connection to?
No.
So one of the co-stars of Hitch is Eva Mendes.
Yeah. Oh, married to Ryan Gosling. Of course. Yes.
It was a random pull, but when I saw the movie, I was like, oh, that works. That is actually the first movie I saw with my wife. That was when we were dating.
Really?
Yeah.
That's spectacular. I love Hitch.
Yeah. So I've seen it many times. Depressingly, now is 21 years old, which makes me feel
21 years older.
Like
you're of drinking age again.
I did the 2006 rewind earlier today, and the movie that I did that's turning 20 this year, She's the Man with Amanda Bynes.
Oh, that movie feels old though.
I love that, but no, it makes me feel old to realize.
Yeah, I know.
It feels older probably because of the sad arc of what happened to her. But I mean, it is. Well, I don't want to give it away because I have more coming on the rewind. But there are a lot. 2006 was the year of The Departed.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Was the best picture winner. Stranger Than Fiction, which I think is actually probably
Stranger Than Fiction is
best
The
movie.
Prestige.
The Prestige, yeah.
Monster House, Superman Returns.
Yep.
Uh,
There was a lot of good ones.
Aragon and Alex Rider, because they were still trying to ride that, come up with the next
They're not
our
all.
own
They're
Harry
not all
Potter.
winners.
Oh yeah, The Illusionist came out the same time as The Prestige.
Oh yeah, I remember that was back. We had for a while. It seemed like you would get these dueling projects in the
Yeah,
same. Like I
Hercules and
remember the year
Hercules.
Deep Impact and Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, only one of them had Michael
Ants
Bay.
and Bugs Life. Yeah.
There you go. Well, that'll do it for us today. I think we both heartily recommend you run out and see Project Hail Mary. I've
Oh my
also
gosh,
heard
see it
good
on a
things.
big screen. See it with a great sound system. Experience it, because if you stream this at home, I feel like it's going to undercut a significant, especially when you
Well, and
have.
it was filmed for IMAX. I did see it. We don't have a true IMAX, but we have XD. That is what I saw it on. I
Yeah.
went to the Prime member screening on Monday night,
Okay.
so it was kind of fun.
Cool.
Well, be sure to check that one out. We'll be back in a little while. If nothing else, we'll be back in a couple weeks, hopefully, and talk about summer movies we're excited for and think might end up in the Golden Raspberry competition. But until then, we'll see you guys at the movies.